All right, so today we're going deep on this idea of like returning to innocence
Okay.
as a path to spiritual enlightenment.
Right.
And our source material for this is an audio recording called Innocence and Openness.
Interesting.
Um, and yeah, I'm already like kind of intrigued and intimidated a little, to be honest.
Yes, I can see that.
There's some really wild ideas in here.
Yeah, like what really stands out to you?
Well, so like right off the bat, the speaker claims that we have like 120,000 senses.
Oh, wow.
Not just the usual five,
Yay.
sight, smell, taste, touch, hearing,
Right.
but like 120,000.
Yeah. That's a powerful image, isn't it? I mean, it really kind of makes you think about just how limited our current perception might be.
Yeah.
Like, imagine the world that we could experience if we could tap into even a fraction of those additional senses.
So you're telling me that like this whole time I've only been using like a tiny fraction of my soul's potential.
It's impossible.
That's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But like, what does this returning to innocence actually look like?
Right.
I mean, it's not like we could just magically become kids again.
Right. It's not about like literally going back to childhood.
Okay.
But it is about reclaiming that same spirit of receptivity and openness.
Okay.
The source describes innocence as a state of being completely open to experience without judgment or fear.
Okay, so less temper tantrums.
Yeah.
More that sense of wonder and awe that kids have about like pretty much everything.
Exactly.
But doesn't that leave us vulnerable?
That's a good point.
I mean, the speaker also talks about removing the walls and protections we've built around ourselves.
Right.
So,
Well, we build those walls for a reason,
yeah,
to protect ourselves from getting hurt
of course.
and from disappointment. But think about it.
Yeah.
Those same defenses can also prevent us from fully experiencing joy and connection and love.
So it's like those walls are like a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
They protect us,
Right.
but they also keep us isolated.
Exactly. And the source kind of suggests that as we grow on our spiritual journey, we might realize that those walls aren't really serving us anymore.
Oh.
They might actually be holding us back
Right.
from the very experiences that could help us reach enlightenment.
That makes me think about all those times when I've been like so guarded and closed off that I like missed out on connecting with someone special
Yeah.
or even trying something new.
That's a great example.
Like, I guess those walls can keep us stuck in our comfort zones.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it.
And speaking of growth,
Yeah.
the speaker also mentioned something called supernatural experiences.
Oh,
What are those exactly?
okay. Well, so not quite in the way that you might be thinking,
Okay.
like ghosts or ESP or anything.
Right.
In this context, supernatural refers to experiences that go beyond our ordinary five-sense perception.
Okay.
It's about being open to the possibility of a reality that's larger and more mysterious than we can currently understand.
So it's less about like seeing ghosts and more about just expanding our awareness
Right.
to encompass like a wider range of experiences.
Exactly. And the source suggests that these types of experiences become more accessible as we cultivate that childlike openness and receptivity. It's like tuning our senses to a different frequency, allowing us to perceive things that were always there,
Okay.
but just hidden from view.
That's a cool way to think about it.
Yeah.
But if we're like dismantling these walls
Right.
and opening ourselves up to all these new experiences, how do we stay grounded?
It's a journey,
Yeah.
and it definitely requires some courage and trust.
Okay.
And that's where the connection to our soul comes in. The speaker really emphasizes that our soul is always present,
Okay.
always communicating with us.
Wait, so you're saying like my soul is talking to me right now?
Well, maybe not in words.
Okay.
The source suggests that the soul communicates primarily through feelings and intuitions and like subtle energetic shifts.
So it's not like I'm going to hear a booming voice in my head,
Right.
but more like a gut feeling
Exactly.
or a sudden sense of knowing.
Yes. And the more we can cultivate that sense of stillness and presence within ourselves, the more clearly we'll be able to hear the whispers of our soul.
Okay, so how do we actually do that?
Right,
Like, how do
yeah.
we cultivate that connection
Yeah.
with our soul amidst all the chaos of everyday life?
Well, the speaker offers some practical steps that we can explore a little bit further.
Okay.
But first, I'm curious.
Yeah.
What's resonating most with you so far? What's standing out as particularly intriguing or challenging?
Well, honestly, the whole idea of the soul having 120,000 senses
Yeah,
is just like stuck in my head.
I can see why.
It makes you wonder what kind of amazing experiences are out there,
Right.
just beyond our normal perception.
Absolutely.
And if cultivating this innocence is the key to unlocking them, Then sign me up.
It's certainly a tantalizing prospect, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And it speaks to this idea that there's so much more to reality than we currently understand.
Right. And how do we even begin to tap into that?
Yeah.
You mentioned the speaker offers some practical steps.
Right.
What are they?
So the first step is probably the most challenging, especially in our fast-paced world.
Yeah.
It's about creating space for stillness and presence.
Okay.
The speaker encourages us to take regular moments throughout the day to just be, to tune in to our inner landscape without trying to analyze or control anything.
Okay, that makes sense. But with work and family and everything else going on,
Yeah.
how am I supposed to just stop and be all the time?
It doesn't have to be a big, elaborate ritual.
Okay.
Even just a few minutes each day can make a difference.
Okay.
The speaker actually gives a really great example from their own life.
Oh, yeah.
They were feeling frustrated because they were so engrossed in work that they'd forgotten to consciously connect with their soul.
Oof. I feel that. I get so caught up in deadlines and to-do lists sometimes that I forget to just breathe.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
And the advice that they received was so simple yet profound.
Okay.
Just acknowledge the soul's presence.
Okay.
Remember that it's always there even when you're not actively focused on it.
So it's like a little mental check-in throughout the day.
Yeah.
Hey, soul, how you doing?
Exactly.
Still there?
It's a way of inviting the soul into your everyday experiences,
Okay.
acknowledging its presence and allowing it to guide you.
I like that.
Yeah.
It feels more manageable than trying to achieve some kind of constant state of bliss or enlightenment.
Right.
But speaking of enlightenment,
Yes.
doesn't the speaker also talk about something called soul integration?
They do.
What is that?
Yeah, it's described as the merging of the soul with our human self,
Oh,
forming a unified divine being.
whoa. That sounds intense.
Yeah.
What does that even feel like?
Yeah, and how do we get there?
Wait.
The speaker's careful not to over-explain or define the experience too rigidly.
Okay.
They emphasize that it's a deeply personal and unique process for everyone,
Okay.
but they do highlight the importance of trusting the process,
Okay.
surrendering to the unfolding of our own unique path.
So no set roadmap
Yeah,
or instruction manual,
No.
just trust and surrender.
that's it.
That's both liberating and a little terrifying.
It is a shift in perspective from our usual way of approaching things.
Yeah.
Instead of striving and seeking, we're invited to simply open ourselves to the possibility
Okay.
to receive it as a gift that's already present within us.
That reminds me of something that the speaker said about the soul never having been able to fully experience life
Right.
because of a veil of separation.
Yeah.
What is that veil?
And so,
And how does it relate to soul integration?
what's really fascinating here is that this veil, whatever it may be, is lifting. It's allowing for a deeper level of soul integration than ever before.
Okay.
It's like we're entering a new era of human consciousness.
Okay, so we're talking about a major cosmic shift here.
Yeah.
But what does that mean for us on a practical level? How do we know if we're experiencing this soul integration?
Well, the speaker describes it as an unforgettable experience,
Okay.
a merging of our human and divine selves. But they also emphasize that it's not about chasing a specific feeling or outcome.
Oh.
It's about cultivating that inner openness and allowing the integration to unfold naturally.
So it's not about forcing it,
No,
but rather creating the space for it to happen.
exactly. And the speaker suggests that one of the key ingredients is that childlike sense of wonder and receptivity that we've been talking about.
Right.
It's about approaching life with a beginner's mind, free from preconceived notions and expectations.
I see. It's like we have to unlearn all those limiting beliefs and patterns that have been blocking us from experiencing our full potential.
Precisely. It's about peeling back those layers of conditioning and rediscovering the innate wisdom and joy that reside within each of us.
Okay, I'm really starting to get the bigger picture here.
Good.
But you mentioned there was a third practical step for cultivating this openness.
I did. What is it? It's perhaps the simplest, yet often the most difficult to practice.
Oh,
Trust.
trust.
Preston, wait.
Trust in the process, trust in your intuition, and trust in the wisdom of your own soul.
Trust. That's a big one.
It is.
It's easy to say, but much harder to actually do, especially when life throws us curveballs.
It's true. We're often conditioned to rely on our intellect,
Yeah.
to analyze and control everything.
Right.
But the source suggests that true wisdom lies in surrendering to something larger than ourselves,
Okay.
to that inner knowing that transcends the limitations of the mind.
So it's about quieting the mental chatter and tuning in to that deeper voice within.
Exactly. And It's a practice,
Okay.
something we cultivate over time.
Hmm.
It's about learning to discern the whispers of our soul amidst the noise of everyday life.
That makes sense. It's
Yeah.
like building a muscle.
Uh-huh.
The more we practice listening to our intuition, the stronger it becomes. I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It's about strengthening that connection to our inner wisdom and allowing it to guide our choices and our actions.
Okay, so we've got stillness inviting the soul into our experiences, and trust.
Yes,
Those are the three keys to unlocking this returning to innocence thing.
exactly. And the beauty of these practices is that they're accessible to anyone,
Yeah.
regardless of their background or beliefs.
So it's not about following a specific dogma or joining a particular group.
Right.
It's about cultivating a way of being,
Yes.
an inner state of openness and receptivity.
Precisely. And the speaker suggests that as we embrace this way of being, we'll naturally attract experiences that support our growth and our evolution.
That's really empowering.
It is.
It makes me wonder if we're all capable of experiencing those supernatural things we talked about earlier, if we just open ourselves to the possibility.
It's certainly a thought-provoking idea,
Yeah.
and it speaks to the transformative power of returning to innocence.
So this returning to innocence isn't just about feeling good or having like nice spiritual experiences.
No,
It sounds like it has the potential to like radically change our perception of reality
it does.
and unlock a whole new level of human potential.
Absolutely. And that brings us to one of the most intriguing aspects of the source.
Okay.
The speaker suggests that we're currently living in a time of profound transformation,
Okay.
a period of energetic cleansing and liberation.
Wait, so you're saying this isn't just some abstract spiritual concept. It's actually happening on a global scale.
That's what the speaker suggests.
Okay?
They believe that this shift is bringing more light and consciousness to the planet,
Okay.
leading to a new reality for those who are open to experiencing it.
Wow, that's huge.
It is.
But what does this new reality look like?
Yeah, what can we expect?
Yeah.
Well, the speaker's a bit cryptic about the specifics.
Okay.
They emphasize that it's going to be beyond anything we can currently imagine.
Okay. So no spoilers.
No spoilers.
But if this new reality is emerging, what role does returning to innocence play in all of this?
So the speaker suggests that this shift is happening whether we're consciously participating in it or not. But for those who are actively cultivating this inner openness and receptivity, it's an opportunity to experience the transformation more fully
Okay.
and to contribute to the emergence of this new world.
So it's like we're being invited to be co-creators of this new reality,
Right.
to actively participate in the unfolding of something truly extraordinary.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the core message of the source,
Okay.
the power of returning to innocence.
Right.
It's not just about personal growth or spiritual enlightenment.
Yeah.
It's about playing an active role in the evolution of consciousness itself.
This is blowing my mind.
I know,
I
right?
mean, we started with this idea of having 120,000 senses.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about a global shift in consciousness.
It's a lot to take in.
I need a moment to process all of this.
Yeah. Take all the time you need.
Okay.
But before we wrap up, I'm curious what's resonating most with you right now. What feels particularly important or relevant to your own life?
Honestly, it's a lot to wrap my head around, this whole idea of a global shift in consciousness.
It is a lot to take in.
Yeah, but there's a part of me that just feels so drawn to it. Like something deep inside is recognizing a truth in all of this.
That's the beauty of exploring these kinds of ideas. You know, it's
Yeah.
not about blindly accepting everything you hear.
Right.
It's about letting it resonate with your own inner knowing.
Right.
What feels true for you might be totally different from what feels true for someone else.
Okay.
And that's perfectly okay.
It's like we're all on our own unique journeys,
Yeah,
but maybe heading towards a similar destination.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
And perhaps this returning to innocence is like finding a compass that helps us navigate those journeys with more clarity and purpose.
And less fear, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because, the speaker also talks about this transformation, bringing up a lot of fear and resistance in people.
It's understandable.
Yeah.
Change can be scary, especially when it's on such a massive scale.
Right.
But the speaker emphasizes that this fear is often rooted in a misunderstanding of what's actually happening.
Okay.
They compare it to the caterpillar's fear of transforming into a butterfly.
Oh, wow. That's a perfect analogy.
Isn't it?
Yeah, the caterpillar might think it's dying,
Right.
but it's actually evolving into something even more beautiful and free.
Exactly. And the speaker suggests that we can approach this global transformation with the same kind of trust and surrender that the caterpillar embodies.
Okay.
It's about letting go of our attachment to the old ways and embracing the unknown with curiosity and courage.
Okay. But even if we trust the process,
Yeah.
it's still hard to let go of that fear, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what if things get worse before they get better?
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And the speaker acknowledges that there will likely be challenges along the way,
Okay.
but they encourage us to remember that we're not alone in this. Our souls are guiding us. They're supporting us and connecting us to a larger web of consciousness
Okay.
that's working towards a greater good.
That's really reassuring.
Yeah.
It's like we have a whole team of spiritual cheerleaders on the sidelines rooting for us to succeed.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And the speaker suggests that the more we open ourselves to this support, the more we'll feel its presence in our lives.
So it's not just about our individual journeys.
Right.
It's about connecting to something much larger than ourselves.
Exactly. And that connection is what gives us the strength and the resilience to navigate the challenges and uncertainties of this time.
This whole conversation has been incredibly eye-opening.
Good. I'm glad.
I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on what it means to be human, to be alive at this particular moment in history.
It is a unique time to be alive.
But I'm also a bit overwhelmed by the sheer scale of it all.
It is a lot to take in.
Yeah. What can I, as one person, actually do to contribute to this global shift?
Well, the speaker suggests that the most powerful thing we can do is to embody the very qualities that we've been talking about today.
Oh.
Openness and receptivity, trust, and a willingness to let go of the old ways of being.
Right.
By cultivating these qualities within ourselves, we become beacons of light, radiating those energies out into the world and inspiring others to do the same.
So it's like the ripple effect.
Exactly.
Our individual transformations contribute to a collective wave of change.
Precisely. And it starts with each of us making a conscious choice to embrace this new way of being.
I'm definitely feeling inspired to take on that challenge.
That's great to hear.
But I also have to admit, a part of me is still skeptical.
Uh-huh.
What if this whole new reality thing is just a bunch of wishful thinking?
That's perfectly okay. The speaker doesn't expect us to blindly accept everything they say.
Okay.
In fact, they encourage us to question and to explore and to come to our own conclusions.
Okay.
The most important thing is to remain open to the possibility, to allow ourselves to be surprised by what might emerge.
So it's not about having all the answers.
Yeah.
It's about embracing the mystery and trusting the journey.
Exactly. And that's where that childlike sense of wonder and curiosity comes in. It's about approaching life with a beginner's mind,
Okay.
eager to discover what each new moment has to offer.
Wow. This has been an incredible deep dive.
It has been a lot to cover.
We've gone from exploring the idea of 120,000 senses to contemplating a global shift in consciousness.
That's right.
It's definitely given me a lot to think about.
And I hope it's left you with a sense of hope and possibility.
It has.
Because ultimately, that's what this returning to innocence is all about.
Yeah.
It's about reclaiming our innate capacity for joy and wonder and connection.
Right.
And stepping into a future that's brighter than we can currently imagine.
And you know what I think the most important takeaway for me is this?
What's that?
What if we're not just waiting for this new reality to arrive? What if we're actually creating it with every thought, every feeling, and every choice we make?
That's a powerful question to ponder.
Yeah.
And perhaps the answer lies in the very essence of this deep dive, the invitation to return to innocence, to reclaim the wisdom of our hearts,
Okay.
and to step boldly into the unknown, trusting that the universe is conspiring with us to create something truly extraordinary.
It's really a lot to process, this whole idea of like a global shift in consciousness.
Yeah, it's big.
But, there is a part of me that feels drawn to it. Like something deep inside is recognizing a truth in all of this.
That's the beauty of these ideas. It's not about blindly accepting everything,
Right.
but letting it resonate with your own inner knowing.
Yeah.
What feels true for you might be different from what feels true for someone else.
Yeah.
So that's okay.
Yeah, it's like we're all on our own unique journeys,
Right?
but maybe heading towards a similar destination.
I like that. And maybe this returning to innocence is like finding our compass to help us navigate those journeys.
With less fear, hopefully.
Yes, hopefully with less fear.
Because, the speaker talks about this transformation bringing up a lot of fear and resistance in people.
Of course, change can be scary,
Yeah.
especially when it's on such a massive scale.
Right. But why is there so much fear around it?
Well, the speaker says it's rooted in a misunderstanding of what's happening.
Okay.
They compare it to a caterpillar's fear of transforming into a butterfly.
Oh, wow. That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
The caterpillar thinks it's dying,
Right.
but it's actually becoming something more beautiful.
Exactly. And we can approach this global transformation the same way the caterpillar does, with trust and surrender.
Okay.
Letting go of the old and embracing the unknown.
With curiosity and courage.
Yes, exactly.
But even if we trust the process, it's still hard to let go of that fear, right?
It is. It's understandable.
And what if things get worse?
It's possible there will be challenges along the way,
Right.
but we're not alone in this.
Okay.
Our souls are guiding us, supporting us, connecting us to a larger web of consciousness.
That's reassuring.
And the more we open ourselves to that support, the more we'll feel it.
So it's not just about me.
No?
It's about connecting to something much bigger.
Exactly. And that connection is what gives us strength and resilience.
This whole conversation has been so eye-opening.
I'm glad to hear that.
I feel like I have a whole new perspective on what it means to be human, to be alive right now.
It is a unique time.
But I'm overwhelmed by how big all of this is.
It is a lot.
What can I, as one person, do?
Well, the most powerful thing we can do is embody these qualities.
Okay.
Openness, receptivity, trust, willingness to let go.
Okay.
By cultivating these within ourselves, we become like beacons of light, inspiring others.
It's like a ripple effect.
Exactly. Our individual transformations can contribute to a collective wave of change.
Okay. I'm feeling inspired.
That's great.
But part of me is still skeptical.
That's okay.
What if this new reality is just wishful thinking?
It's okay to question, to explore, to come to your own conclusions. The important thing is to stay open to the possibility.
Right.
To allow ourselves to be surprised.
So it's not about having the answers.
Right.
But embracing the mystery and trusting the journey.
Exactly. And that's where that childlike sense of wonder comes in.
Yeah.
Approaching life with a beginner's mind.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
It has been a lot to cover.
From 120,000 senses to a global shift in consciousness.
That's right.
It's a lot to think about.
I hope it's given you a sense of hope and possibility.
It has.
That's what returning to innocence is all about.
Yeah.
Reclaiming joy, wonder, connection,
Right.
and stepping into a brighter future.
You know what I think the biggest takeaway is this?
Okay, what's that?
What if we're not just waiting for this new reality? What if we're creating it? With every thought, every feeling, every choice.
That's a powerful question, and maybe the answer lies in the heart of this deep dive. The invitation to return to innocence, reclaim the wisdom of our hearts, and step into the unknown.
It all comes back to that.
It does. Trusting that the universe is working with us to create something extraordinary.